Yeah, Islam, Peace, Hotep. We're here again. It's November 26th, Canaanland Moors class. So last week we started up a little something, so we're gonna keep that flowing. Um, today's class is yeah. Today's class we're gonna start up with another phone call. So the mic's yours, fam. Just do your intro and do your thing.
Islam, peace and love. Thank you, Cool Joe. First of all, I want to give thanks for all active Moors and even for this forum to even be doing this. It's beautiful because the subject matter is nationality today. I actually woke up with this on my mind. Nationality being the order of the day, and it's just so beautiful how it all links up. And the reason why is because at the end of the day, nationality is key to everything. When we break down what it even means in the two attributes, the one key attribute is it dealing with jurisdiction, which is domicile, which under the principle of a national domicile, that connects us with the Canaanland family. Not that we're not connected, but civilly and politically, for the record, national domicile, including Canaanland, the continental North Americas, is our home, is our house, the Americas collectively. And it's a maxim, it's documented that as society begins with family, so does authority of government. And the one primitive thing that stuck out with that, Noble Ali said, we're all one family, bearing one free national name. So we're all the same family, thus meaning we are our own government. Thus we're not U.S. citizens, and those fake brown boundaries or borders do not separate us politically at all. That's a mental slavery, a servitude from an ideology that's not real. So this order of the day, being nationality, is mentally recognizing that, because as was spoken of weeks ago, when the prophet said, if you don't do anything else, declare your nationality. And the specific prophet I'm talking about is Prophet Ilhad Sharif Abdul Ali, or Noble Ali. He said, if you don't do anything else, declare your nationality. And it's so right and exact, because it's making it clear to yourself, thus it can be made clear to others, because this is the order of the day. Now, why do we got to make it clear to ourselves? I would say because if we don't make it clear to ourselves, someone else is going to try to make clear or claim who we are for us, which goes back to the jurisdiction, the right words, etymologically, that they really don't have to use to identify us. They can't. Specifically when it's a brand that they're trying to use for our identity. It doesn't add up. So I just wanted to add that on, that all of these aspects are definitely a part of the national principles. So being as though society begins with family and so does authority or government, if we asking what's wrong with the government, we gotta ask what's wrong with our family, our nation, which is the primitive foundation, because we're not a part of an artificial monopoly. This is all due respect, but with the boundaries they got up now is what you call in law artificial monopoly. That's what it is. So if we're not the only people that can have a natural monopoly on the land is the true possessors or the lineal descendants to the land. So this is what is important as far as us getting back to our free national status, because we're the only ones that can have a natural monopoly. So what is a natural monopoly? The right to do, exchange, whatever it may be. You may have fruits that grow from the earth, and I may have some metals that came from the earth. Being as though we are one family and the true possessors of the land, we can exchange without interference, under the principles of a natural monopoly. Now that's one example. But the principle is, if we're not in the proper state of mind, we're going to buying and selling our ancestral estate, just like they do in the Monopoly board game. You know, they say they're selling, buying properties, and the whole point is to get the opponent in debt. Right? It's the same principles they're using in real life, and people may not be aware, but it's the truth. So the one thing about the artificial monopoly and not being in our free national status is that we're actually considered property as well. So they do all types of crazy things, and I'm not saying this right, but until it's rebutted from this aspect, they do all types of crazy things like behind your back. You know, they're buying, selling, and trading things that are relevant to you, and you don't even know, you know, because this is a part of their artificial monopoly. Now, this is the thing. They say a slave is somebody who cannot speak for themselves or think for themselves. It has to have somebody think or do for them, which again is incompetence, which again goes back to guardianship, wardship, which is why every so-called jail, which are really zoos, have a warden, because they're dealing with wardship, guardianship, personam jurisdiction. So it's imperative that we're in our own proper person mentally, not just saying it, but mentally getting ourselves there.
Islam, peace. Could you just as you're talking about that, touch on when you were speaking about the proclamation and declaration, the breakdown of the proclaiming nationality and declaring the nationality.
Proclaiming and declaring.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the thing. All right. Again, that's why I was saying as far as not just saying it, but knowing it. Because it's one thing to proclaim. Like, you could proclaim to be anything, and it might not be true. Which is why before you proclaim, you must declare and make clear what your proclamation is. A proclamation is a public announcement. So, before you publicly announce, you have to personally make clear what it is you're going to announce. You know, it's no different than if you're watching a broadcast on a TV show and they, newscasters don't have any subject matter to go off of, they just be rambling on. You know, you have to know what it is you're actually proclaiming before, you proclaim it. That's what the declaration is about. It's no different than a bike. And if I could use this for example, a bike is only good as anybody who puts the energy into using it. If there's nobody using the bike, it's just sitting there. But when you put the energy into it, now you're moving on it, it's in motion, so it's relative to understanding or overstanding what it is that you publicly announce as far as declaring and proclaiming. Which again, and I trust that is relevant because, pardon me, when you said declaration and proclamation, I apologize. I was thinking about something that African sister Anna E was working on. And I wasn't sure if you saw that and that's what you were talking about, but I got you. As far as the
Yeah.
I hope I'm right back over what you was talking about.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right and exact.
All right, cool indeed. So So that's the primitive thing first and foremost is us being aware. You can't go out teaching a math class if you don't know what 1 + 1 is and why 1 + 1 is 1. I mean, excuse me, why 1 + 1 is 2. But the 2 is the 1 if you want to really get to it. But I mean, really. So before you go, you gotta just have a basic background of the math. On the math, but that's what it is, and this is why it's so important that the declaration comes before the proclamation. Because you can proclaim anything if you can't show and prove. Your proclamation is going to be considered invalid. Not that it's invalid, because it is a documented fact under the definition of liberty in the Bouvier's Law Dictionary that the people have the right to communion in speech. That means to speak collectively. So we do all have the right to say the same thing, but it shouldn't be off of the principle of parrots. Like we should know nobody's going to believe him if he can't show and prove his claim. Period. You know what I mean? You have to show and prove that you are what you claim to be. You know, I mean, and it's a substantive right to claim to be anything. But these people are master psychologists. And it's something in psychology called identity diffusion. It's something in psychology called identity moratorium. Something in psychology called identity achievement. Alright, this is psychological because man is mind. Alright, so you have to have your mind right on these subjects. You know, and nobody has the jurisdiction to tell you who you are not. If you claim to be, they have to. So whatever you claim, I mean, you have to be able to be clear to stand firm on your claim. But for somebody to disprove it, they have to be able to show and prove how it's invalid. You know, so really, no different than the burden of proof is on the accuser. The burden of proof is usually on the claimant. But if somebody is claiming that the claim is invalid, they have to show and prove how so. Right. You know, and usually when we proclaim, we're putting these foreigners who have this artificial monopoly going on notice. You know, but again, I can't stress the importance of having it being declared to self. And I was watching this clip. I just want to share this with you because nationality is the order of the day. And this guy was saying, he said the difference between the outcome of a success is what you know from day one of the happening to the end, not what you learn afterward happening. I'm not knocking anybody who's learning as they go, because life is a learning experience. Right. But usually, it's what you know beforehand that determines the outcome, right. The overall outcome. You know what I mean? So that's very important because if we're the mental, that means that we have to mentally be firm. Right. So again, a lot of people proclaim without the real substantive sui juris identity achievement. You know, like you say, well, give me 5 references on Moors. You know, and people go blank. Like that's not. No, I mean I understand we are learning, but we got to be able to give references, not just for ourselves, but for our brethren and sisters and family. Because again, our own family is the government. And again, if we don't claim it, that's open grounds all day for them to claim guardianship and personam jurisdiction. I'm not saying they don't try to play those games when you do, but trust me, if you really pound the pavement on them, they'll know who you are, and then eventually they'll even know who your family is, and they'll know to leave y'all alone. I'm telling you, it's the real truth. Right. So it's a lot of aspects that goes with proclaiming and declaring the nationality.
Okay, let me ask you this question. All right, let's put it in perspective of, let's say, individuals who are coming into this information, right? And yes. they sort of end up in a rut because they're by themselves where they are with this information. What advice you have for those people that know what this is, right? They understand what this is, but let's say there's no temple where they live, or there's no, active Moors where they are. What should be their approach with regard to, understanding what nationality is?
All right. Well, I would say just to get on the right track, because remember, it's the people that run. It's really the people that run the institutions. Excuse me. So if you're in an area where there's no temples and there's nowhere for you to go, I'm going to just be straight honest with you. What you want to do is get your hands on some unabridged dictionaries. You want to get your hands on some holy books, and you want to get your hands on some of the prophets of literature as much as you can. And what you want to do, again, because this is a part of declaring it to yourself, is digest that information etymologically from multiple aspects become the one who establishes it in that area, in that location, that territory. You know, because if nobody out there is doing it, you know, if you can take it up to do it yourself. And even if you don't have a physical building, just build with your brethren and your sister that you think are not interested. Put them on. And in that cipher, you become, you know, the grand sheiks. That's really what it is. Why? Because adepts are born, they're not made. So if you know, you have the knowledge of this information for a reason. It's not for nothing. You just happen to stumble across this info. We have a responsibility with the information because we see the conditions, you know. But again, this is a divine and national movement, so it takes like a balance of both to understand that, you know, really all the authority is within us already. Now, indeed, there's a structure that Prophet Ilha Sharif Abdul Ali left, with Noble Drew Ali left, and that should be understood, so you can see the essence of what he was doing. But remember that he said it's but one supreme issue. It's only one supreme issue, and that is the enforcement of the American Republic Constitution, family. So study that, get that down pat. If you somewhere else, I mean, even if you here, you know, understand the Constitution and understand what international law is. That's my best suggestion as far as getting active. I know it might seem like a lot of responsibility to take on, but you know what? We got a lot. It's a lot on the plate. You know, it's a lot on the plate. And if you have this information, it may be meant for you to be the one in your area to get it started. It's sad, but it's true.
Right.
You know, that's a tough scenario. So it's a lot of outlets and links how we can stay in tune with each other.
Right.
You know. So I mean, for the most part, it's always going to be people you can connect with somehow, some way, even if it's not in the flesh, to gather or share information, which will be potent, you know, as far as affecting your immediate surroundings, you know. So, I mean, it's hard to say because I'm not in the situation, but at the same time I am, because if anybody else is, that means we are. And the thing is, you know, it's not that you have to be totally out of loop. And I don't want to be repetitive or redundant, but again, I got to emphasize that if that's the situation, be that one who gets it started in the area. That would be my best suggestion for that.
Right. All right, Mar. Well, give thanks, yo, and tell Cuz give thanks for, you know, sharing the time.
Most certainly, not a problem at all. Thank you for having me on, man. It was an honor.
For sure.
And keep doing it, bro. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Give thanks, man. Yeah, we'll connect later. All right. Islam. Peace. Yeah, Mars. So that's how we do. So, you know, we don't know who's going to be on next week, but, you know, you're going to get a first 20 minutes of somebody, right? Just so we can get different perspectives from individuals who are really on this, you know, because you might realize that, you know, there's a lot of bandwagon jump offers when it comes to the Moorish movement. You know, they're on it when things are running smooth, and wheels start falling off or whatever. Everybody's jumping off and don't want to help pump a tire, right? So we're taking the steps to make sure that the information goes out so that people could do their own research. You know what I mean? You don't need to be following Cujo down anywhere or whatever, because this is your birthright. It's your Moorish nationality, and we have to give tremendous and supreme honors to Noble Drew Ali for doing all the work that he did, right? And anytime we mention Noble Drew Ali, you already know that, you know, Prophets are thoughts of Allah, so Allah is there too. Whenever we say Noble Drew Ali, so don't say Noble Drew. High honors to Noble Drew Ali, and we're omitting Allah. We're talking about Allah too when we say Noble Drew Ali. When we say Morris, right? Because Allah and man are one. It's a fact, right? So the first stop today, rights of indigenous people be of a general and permanent character, Class A. And this is Grand Sheik Nature El Bey, edited by Taj Tariq Bey, Great Seal, Moor Science Temple of America, North Gate, page 8. About nationality. The Moors of North America have been held to forced servitude and were, by deviance, placed outside of the constitutional fold of government by the European occupiers, who have branded the Moors as Negroes, blacks, colored, and Ethiopians, etc. It is definitively vital and important that the true birthright status of the people, Moors, be addressed in a more formal and documented political format, and given considerations on a more serious social political degree and principled level. Thus, the subject matter and issue of permanent character comes into play within the arenas of national, international, and world affairs. Civiliter mortuus versus in full life. The social, political status and caste position of civiliter mortuus, civiliter mortuus, means dead in the eyes of the law. This is the past, present, and existing social and political status as assigned to all persons held under the brands and tags of Negro, black, and colored, etc. And just to put something out there, when we see things like civiliter mortuus, and the jackass wants to jump up and say, well, mortuus, Moors and mortuus, so don't call yourself Moors. Just slap that guy, because that's stupid talk, right? That's asinine talk. Anybody talking like that, bringing up stupid stuff like that, right, to try to get you to abandon your birthright. Think about that. They're going to say a word mortuus, that means death or whatever, right, is connected to the Moors, to get you to mentally detach from your birthright because you're listening to this idiot, right? And that idiot's probably telling you, forget the prophet, he's nobody, he's a pedophile or whatever, right? The 180 degrees opposite social and political status counter to civiliter mortuus is the superior and clear natural social, political, and legal status of in full life. In full life was and is the uncorrupted, normal, and honorable status as held by the ancient forefathers of these same Moors, who have been calling themselves what they are not, i.e. Negroes, blacks, and coloreds, etc. In full life is defined in H.C. Black's Law Dictionary on Ancient and Modern Jurisprudence as continuing in both physical and civil existence, that is, neither actually dead nor civiliter mortuus, right? So, like Brother Miz was breaking down, the idea of nationality, declaring and proclaiming, right, is you changing your mindset about everything that you thought you knew, because we didn't know anything, right? We still don't know anything, right? In full life. Now, quick story, right? A few years ago, one of the Moors went to court, right? Trevor Hamilton Ill. And he went to he was in the court session or whatever, just doing the delegation of authority order, you know, demands and whatever on them, right? And he told the judge, right? What was the prosecutor? No, he was talking to the prosecutor, right? So he's talking to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor's trying to get him, right, to, same thing, try to abandon his nationality, right, and take a deal under the corporate name. So you can fight it as Trevor Hamilton ill, but if you just say you're Trevor Hamilton, we'll just throw everything away. We won't even worry about it, right? And he said, nah, I'm in for life, absolute. And the prosecutor stopped, and almost like it was a spell that got cast on her, right? Because now found out from lawyer friend that the term absolute, right? If you use the term absolute with anything in the court, right, it freezes the court, because absolute, complete, perfect, final, without any condition or encumbrance, as an absolute bond, in distinction from a conditional bond, unconditional, complete and perfect in itself, without relation or dependence on other things or persons. Instruction as to an absolute gift, irrevocable, final, right? An absolute estate is one that is free from all manner of condition or encumbrance, an estate in fee simple. A rule is said to be absolute when on the hearing it is confirmed and made final. A conveyance or other conditional conveyance. Absolute property is where a man hath solely and exclusively the right and also the occupation of movable chattels, distinguished from a qualified property as that of a bailee. An absolute owner, absolute right of possession and right of property combined, right? So being civiliter mortuus, or being trained to think that we're civiliter mortuus, right? Negro, black, colored, and all the other that was Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition, and then you could just get this on Amazon, eBay, whatever. Try eBay, or try a local mom and pop's bookstore, or like Brother Casanova and Brother Amari and those Moors. They drive 3-4 hours to go to somebody who's selling their estate and go look through their books and get those books for $1 free or whatever. Tip top shape too, right? So being that we were in a dead status, Negro, black, colored, whatever, all these names that we adopted, right? Noble Drew Ali came in, because remember, this is a specific amount of people. Don't forget, there's Moors all over the world. It's just these idiots in North America that are calling themselves all these names that have nothing to do with the human family. So they get abused and they get raped and they get pillaged and they get hung on trees and people whip them and they make movies about it and all that, right? Because their status was civiliter mortuus. They were not in for life. So that's what you get if you're civilly dead. If you're civilly dead, that means you have no rights, you have no anything. Period. Right? Or, like Brother Miz was saying, you're a ward. And if you're a ward, then anybody who deals with you and everybody who deals with you is a warden. Not just the guy who's in the prison, that runs the prison. Everybody's a warden if your status is ward or civiliter mortuus. Right? So Noble Drew Ali came, told the Moors, you have a nationality. So that's how you're going to free yourself. Right? That's where the freedom lies, in nationality, because you have mental slavery. And the spell, because remember, prophet, when you look up prophet, it's going to say seer and witch doctor and all this other stuff, right? So he knew what he was doing, with the ethers as well when he's dealing with Moors, because he knew what we were under, right? And don't forget, we say warlock and witch doctor and seer and all these things that they kind of give, you know, a connotation to, right? But that's the thought of Allah. So don't think Allah is not down with witch doctoring and homeopathic health and all that, right? Noble Drew Ali is the most important figure to come to Negro, black, colored, African, whatever people, right, since 1900 started, right? That individual, and I'm not on some Noble Drew Ali dick riding, right? Study what he brought, and you'll see for yourself that nobody who you consider, you know, leader or scholar or whatever, right, from 1900s to now could say they did anything to the magnitude that Noble Drew Ali did, right? And he did it not doing no grants, getting no grants or nothing like that, right? He did that because he's a thought of Allah. And this is not a joke thing. When you see these guys talking crap about Noble Drew Ali or whatever, they're diverting you from your prophet. Don't think that Noble Drew Ali just belongs to the Moors and, you know, only the Moors have to. Yo, Noble Drew Ali is your prophet. Whether you want to accept him or not, that's up to you, right? But Noble Drew Ali is your prophet, and he came to redeem you from sinful ways. And sinful ways, calling ourselves all these names that have nothing to do with us being connected to the human family, right? Upon this social political reality, and with moral and spiritual considerations, Noble Drew Ali, Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, declared to the Moors, "Be yourselves." And so we are here today to remind you of that charge, which must be fulfilled and is in your own best interest, right? It's in your best interest to take this serious. Don't listen to these idiots and don't listen to me like I'm trying to convince you. I'm not trying to convince you anything. We're putting information out to inspire people to take this serious. Because once we put it out, hey, it belongs to the people. It has nothing to do with me anymore, right? That's why nobody's not going to debate me, because we're about giving information to the people, right? I don't care what this guy has to say. What he has to say is irrelevant, because if you are civil litter mortus, you're dead in the eyes of the law. And you have the great debaters going on in the conscious community right now, and all these guys are stateless. All of them. I see no L's and B's going up there except for Alim and Malik Zulu Shabazz, because he proclaimed right there on the stage that he's a Moor. He said, "I'm a Moor too." So he made his proclamation. Whether he declares it or whatever, that doesn't matter to me. Point is, he at least has it here that he can say it. Just like Khalid had it here and said it, right? And all these individuals who have played this game with you, right, that you're something other than Moors, right? And you're listening to them, following them, doing stupidness, going, you know, wasting gas to go to people's inaugurations and dumb shit like that. Wasting gas. Wasting time, energy, money to go stand up in the cold to go listen to some guy tell you that you're the Republic, and to see him take an oath on the Constitution, and to go in the back and read Thomas Jefferson's Quran and all this, and you don't want to make yourself acknowledge and accept the fact that the Moors are everywhere and you can't even hide from the fact, and the only reason that you're hiding from the fact is because these dirty Moors didn't tell you about your birthright, right? They straight didn't tell you. Not that they didn't know and didn't tell you, they knew and didn't tell you, right? Perfect example. We'll go there first. Perfect example, right? You have people saying, Cujo's government agent, he works for the government and whatever, right? So I work for school board, right? And school's ending, and there's a girl at her locker, right? Asiatic, right? From the east, at her locker. Tapped her on the shoulder, I'm like, what are you doing, man? You know, she explained to me or whatever, right? I said, I have to take a picture of you. She's like, yeah, no problem, you know what I mean? Posed and everything, right? So this is the girl right here. Now, this is in 2013 in a predominantly East Asian culture high school, right? There's a girl who's Asiatic wearing a fez walking around the school. Girl wearing a fez walking around the school that she made in her class. She's wearing a fez that she made in her class on that day. Why? Because it's Doctor Who anniversary. It's Doctor Who anniversary. Remember Doctor Who's an alien. We talked about this already. Doctor Who's not from this planet. Doctor Who's from another planet. And he came here, and of all the headwear that he can choose to wear, this is an alien from another planet. If we really take this serious, forget that it's a show and whatever. Let's look at the dynamics of this show. This alien comes to the planet. They're not honoring the ship that he came here in. They're not honoring the language that he spoke. They're not honoring, you know, the fact that, you know, he's from some other galaxy or whatever. She chose to put a fez on in honor of Doctor Who. And if that doesn't wake up something in people out there thinking that this is 2013. I just took this picture on Monday. Right? Not only that one, we talked about it in class 2 weeks ago. One of the Moors' son, right? Brother Elias. He's on the computer watching Teen Titans, and there's a robot man in a fez. And he's jumping up excited because, oh look, there's a fez in the cartoon that I'm watching. He's 8. And you're not going to take this for real? You're going to listen to these dumb idiots tell you about Noble Drew Ali and you know, their crap that they're putting out about Noble Drew Ali got 3,000, 4,000 hits in 4 days? 3,000, 4,000 hits. Either 3,000, 4,000 people out there are out of their goddamn mind, right? Or those guys are agents and they get those hits put on there. 3-4 days, 15-minute video have 3,000 hits, bashing the Prophet. And then people who talk good about the Prophet, they don't have no hits, or they have few. That sounds like conspiracy, right? Because the biggest conspiracy on the planet is that Negro black coloreds don't know that they're Moors. That's the biggest conspiracy on the planet. Forget all the flying saucers and whatever. All that's been going on. Meteors been hitting Earth. Solar flares been coming to Earth. That ain't nothing new. But You thinking that you're Negro black colored, that's a phenomenon. Because people in other parts of the world, and we tell you, right? Just test it out. Just test out being a Moor, just to see if it's legit. And just go to anybody on the street. Just go to ask anybody. And just ask them, you know about the Moors? You ever heard about the Moors? And see. And then check the nationality of the people who know and the ones who don't know. And that should tell you something. Right? And I'm only telling you because I do that. Because I know about my nationality. And I have no problem go talk to a stranger. Right? Because I know they know. I just want to hear what they know about it. Because they know stuff about it. But they've been trained not to tell Negro, black, colored anything because they're civil little mortus. So don't even engage them. They're dead people. Why not take no zombie girl on a date? That ain't going on. Right? It's not happening. So get down with the correct program, because don't forget, we keep putting it out there. Do not listen to anything that we say, especially Moors that are active. Even though we've done things and we're doing things, right? Even though we've done and do things, right? Don't even listen to what we say. You go check it out for yourself. And trust me, try it out. Just say that you're a Moor to somebody random and see what reaction you get from them when you say that. And I guarantee you it's going to be nothing that you ever expected. Right? We're going to go somewhere, but we're going to save that for later because these dirty bastards. Right? So bringing the people back into the constitutional fold of government. Right? By Rasmariah V. Bay. Page 31. Gaining and losing membership. This so you get a perspective and understand what the hell's going on with your Moorish movement that you've neglected to give consideration because you've been busy following black African BS for the past how much ever long you've been conscious. And nobody ever mentioned Noble Drew Ali to you. Nobody. People who met him didn't mention his name. People who met him, stood around him, didn't mention his name to you. But you know them, you honor them. You know, they got birthdays and all that. Right? Gaining and losing membership. Most temple leadership complain about the loss of membership. More succinctly, they say the members come in to nationalize and then they stop attending after they receive their nationality card. These temples have dispensed policies that threaten the members with disenfranchisement and denouncement for failure to support the temple. The truth is, they cannot denounce anyone's declaration of nationality, and for them to even remotely think they can, as a matter of policy, is absurd. It is clear that this type of leadership has utilized the art of making the member feel guilty. Yes, it is incumbent of the member to support their temple. So don't get it twisted. Yes, it is incumbent of the member to support their temple. However, it is also more than a responsibility for the temple to offer the program that the Prophet left. The first thing then is to be active in gaining membership and then to uphold the program designed for activity of the members. Failure to do so is first of all not the members' fault, and secondly, a clear call for the temple to review and reflect their activities and their responsibility against the common people almost across the board. If their temple consists of many inactive members, the temple is an inactive temple. The leadership in the temple thinks they are being active because they keep putting the blame on the people and won't take responsibility themselves and they take the position that they are upholding Prophet's program when they are not. Since these people cannot be maintained without the people, when they have inactive members or no members in an inactive temple, as mentioned earlier, how can they place any further blame on the people when what the Prophet already assessed and set forth in the program to address and correct in the first place? The temple needs the people. Some say wherever they go, they draw a circle around them. They create a temple, as each and every one of us is a temple. If this is a two-way street, then treat it like that and communicate openly with the citizens, members, rather than taking a superior position as if the members owe them something. And they will be forever children unless they go along with a sometimes corrupted personal agenda, which is not the Prophet's agenda. This can leave an initiate without inspiration to grow with that particular temple. The leadership in the temples have not been exercising or offering the program in which the Prophet instructed them to do. Thus, there is a quagmire of inactivity from both sides. However, the difference with the people who move in the age of information is that they are not stagnated as the temples who subscribe to this corrupted way of administering. They continue to seek, in harmony with the cosmic and consciousness energies, as was warned and prophesied they would. Many shall go to and fro in the earth, seeking knowledge, and knowledge shall increase. This is why, above all, the schools were not to be ignored. If they were erected, all of the other programs would easily be in place, as the interests of the people and their knowledge base would have risen for several generations instead of now at the last hour. The temple's trying to play catch up in a digital consciousness utilizing analog thinking. Not that it can't be done, but with an obvious limp that lends to crippling, devastating, stagnating results that are worsened by them placing blame on people and failing to recognize their responsibility as temple leaders. This is not what the Prophet set up. Take responsibility. Work in the first principle of love, which is understanding, and bring unity by uniting these facts instead of alienation. The greater truth is that the temples ought to be busy recruiting others to fill the seats on a constant rotating basis, instead of looking for current members to always be seat warmers. It is past time to be honest with ourselves about the stagnation, instead of trying to hold or control the people, which automatically breeds contempt. This is a civic organization for civilization with a Rotarian complexion. After I hear the remiss leaders say the people don't want the truth because it is too stern. The Prophet said the nations don't want the truth because it is too stern. Yet the same goes for anyone in the temple who makes that statement. It includes them. I am sure all will gain from the truth. All right. Now we're going again to the same book. And we're going to go to the section, page 49. This thing runs deep. This thing runs deep, doesn't it? The Moors themselves said they would accept Moorish Americans or Asiatics on the selective service registrations, and that if they put that on the form, they would stop claiming themselves as conscientious objectors and would join the service. In some cases, the Moorish joined under those circumstances because some thought they ought to fight for their country. The problem is, they are not fighting for the United States Republic of North America Constitution that was authorized by their forefathers. They are fighting, and still are, for the Union States democracy, sitting in the seats of authority, exercising criminality, and hiding under color of law, which is not rightful, lawful government. I think That is where today some people get confused about this. We as Moorish Americans are to go back to the ways of our forefathers. We are to enforce the law and the Constitution and see to it that the covenant of such, the contract, is not violated. This is the very covenant that our forefathers put in place to protect our unalienable birthrights, so that we would not be molested by anyone, especially by those who are breaking the laws that protect us. We are the law, and the Constitution is derived from divine law. It is common law for the common people. Herein lies our salvation, and the prophet said so and designed a program to that end. Quote, I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of government. I am depending on your support to get them back into the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate, and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national Constitution of the United States of America. Noble Drawley, divine warning to the nations. Clearly, a true Moorish American would have to have some de jure, meaning right law, clean and pure, knowledge of constitutional law, as it is through this lack that we have been molested. This is what is meant by going back to the mindset of your forefathers. The Europeans were taught law by our ancestors. The Constitution was written as a contract for them, but vested in it the protections of our birthrights. If we would activate it by way of enforcing the Constitution, we would then activate the spirit of our ancestors, and they will in turn guide and protect us. The work they did in authorizing this Constitution was masterful and eloquent. You must honor them. The laws are written in Moorish Latin, and the courts still utilize them. Check a lawful document and you will see for yourself. This proves the European did not write the laws. The European have written statutes and ordinances, but they are not the law. Article 6 of the Constitution, wherein it states, all debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. Right? Notwithstanding. Any laws to the contrary, right? Any laws that are contrary to the Constitution are notwithstanding. And then the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So that's what you go by. But, you know, there's not only that, right? Like we said, for example, right? Noble Drawley told the Moors, our greatest weapon is our press, right? Our greatest weapon is our press, right? So we have our press, okay? Right? So this is not only freedom of speech rights, right? It's not only that. Don't forget that all these democracy jokers, right, signed on to the rights of indigenous people, where it says, Article 17, indigenous people have the right, not the privilege, the right. And don't forget, they all signed on to this. Indigenous people have the right to establish their own media in their own languages. They also have the right to equal access to all forms of non-indigenous media. So not only do you have a right to create your own, but you have a right, and don't forget they signed on to it, you have a right to equal access to all forms of non-indigenous media. So if you don't have your own paper, right, and you're finding a hard time getting your things filed on the county record because they're blocking you, the next best thing is put it in the paper, because the paper is the public record, because the public sees it. And you have a right as somebody indigenous, because don't forget, you can't be civil liter mortuus and talk about put something in the paper, because indigenous rights says that you lose as civil liter mortuus. That's why we don't pay black power and black supremacy people no mind, right? We're not in this for photo ops, right? I'm Moorish American, I'm posing with a black guy, and you know, after that black guy goes back doing black stuff and I'm still Moorish American. No, black guy is supposed to proclaim his nationality as soon as he bumps into a Moor. Black guy is supposed to proclaim his nationality. You're not supposed to meet a Moor and not proclaim your nationality after. You're not supposed to meet a Moor. Somebody's not supposed to tell you Islam or peace or Hotep or whatever. My name is El Bey. What's your name? My name is Frank. You know, I've been studying metaphysics. I watch Phil Valentine. I watch blah, 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 blah. Bobby Hemmett. Well, I'm Adam. For real. Like you are. What's your nationality? Well, I don't have a nationality because I'm from the ethers and whatever. You lose. Proclaim your nationality, because you being from the ethers is going to get you in a concentration camp. For real? Where do I sign up is what's supposed to be going on. But it's not like that, because these dirty Moors, and remember, dirty Moors don't even wear fezzes. Dirty Moors are also the black guys and the Israelite guys and the Nuwapian guys and the NOI and the Rastafarians and all of them are dirty Moors, because all their leaders proclaim their nationality and they don't even have enough honor to follow their own leaders. Noble Ali said, "You're not Ethiopian." For all the Rastafarians out there, Noble Ali said you're not Ethiopian. Haile Selassie followed the protocol laid down by Noble Ali when he went to the UN, which was back then the League of Nations, and said that he's the Emperor of Abyssinia. And it's in the record that he's the Emperor of Abyssinia. So why are you going around calling about go back to Ethiopia and singing songs about go back to Ethiopia, when His Imperial Majesty, your so-called God, said he's the Emperor of Abyssinia? Isn't that hypocrisy? And isn't that being a traitor? Shouldn't you ride the mare of steel for that? And he wore a golden fez. And that's the only picture y'all show of him all the time. Him wearing this golden fez. And none of them, except the few races, I want to say Islam to the Rastafarians out there, who recognize that what it is, recognize that their turban is really the turban of the Moors, recognize all those robes that they're wearing on Bobo Hill are actually the gowns of the Moors, recognizing that Haile Selassie wore a golden fez, and they got their Circle 7 and they study it, and they know that Charles Edwards proclaimed his nationality, Emmanuel, and then he went to the UN and he was complaining about atrocities, and everybody has a right to proclaim their nationality, Article 15 in the Declaration of Human Rights. So everybody's telling these weirdos in North America, proclaim your nationality, and they don't want to hear. They want to go watch debates with stateless people. They want to go watch debates with civil liter mortuus people. Debate about whatever. Let's say we could have our own community right now. They're going to bomb it tomorrow because everybody's going to be civil little mortus in there. And I bet you they're going to bomb it tomorrow because track record proves that they bomb your stuff when you try to create stuff for yourself and you think that you're getting somewhere because we're creating this stuff because black people need whatever and they bomb you. It's not racism. It's because your dumbass should have said that you're a Moor and do that. But European's not going to tell you because he knows and he just ain't going to tell you. El Hajj told you that. You know, your enemy teach you. You're crazy people. Why are you clapping? Stop clapping. There's not no clapping matter. El Hajj told the people, why are you guys clapping? All these people honor El Hajj and they're clapping at this black stuff. People make comments, stupid comments or whatever. Right? Nationality is the order of the day. Whether you want to accept that fact or not, the fact is nationality is the order of the day. It's eventually going to catch up to you. So, you know, like, because we're behind the curve. Right? And we're trying to, you know, speed up time by hugging the corner. There's a Mack truck coming this way. So, like, ease off the brakes, right? Ease off the accelerator, right? And slow down. Because you running out there civil little mortus, they're going to do you just like Black Wall Street. They're going to do you just like Rodney King. They're going to do you just like Move 9 Philly, right? They're going to do you like all you see all these concentration camps that only brothers are going in. There's a revolving door. Only brothers going in there, right? Like only brothers going in there to the point where the same Moor who just went to court, just went inside on the weekend, right? Lanre Obey. Brother Lanre is inside federal jail, right? And there's people in there, or provincial jail, sorry, and there's people in there who used to come to class and they got caught up in some street stuff and they're in there doing some gun charges, drug charges or whatever. They used to come to class and they decided not to come to class, and then as soon as they got off Moorish science, the world dropped on them. Like, for real. He's on Facebook. Lanre Bey. Lanrebey. Right? He's on there. He'll tell you. Brothers used to come to class and they decided, man, whatever. They don't got time or, you know, whatever. But they're inside. And he's telling them that he's in there because he showed a nationality card and they kidnapped him, and they're like, ouch. What are you in here for? Let's not talk about it. Right? It's real serious, especially right now, because let's go right there for a sec. Right? Especially right now, because we go over this over and over again and people kind of, you know, they blow it over like it's not nothing. But we need to really understand what's going on right now and where we are and why nationality is the order of the day. Remember, China's buying up UK, China's buying up U.S, China's buying up, I don't know, China probably bought Canada already because they've been here with their own stuff and their own writing and all that, right? That's the only people who I know, right? Asians, right, from the East. It's the only people who I know that could have a full, like building, 2 levels, 3 levels, right? Everybody in there selling bootleg DVDs. Come in, they get busted, and they're open again next week, selling bootleg DVDs. Only people. Right? Something's up. Because brother can't even go to the store without getting stopped. And these guys are running bootleg DVDs with the, the warning US, whatever. And they're not shut down or nothing like that. Every week they're still open after they get busted. Right? Nationality is the order of the day. Some people know and they're using it to their advantage in your land because you're not using it. So, hey, you don't want your birthright. They'll be glad to take it because remember, Asians came over here on the Bering Strait, so this is part of their land too. Just like Africa, so-called Africa, which is really a Mexum, or South Asia, is really Asia, not Africa. So when Mr. Chin goes to Africa, so-called, that he knows is East Asia, and he puts his paperwork and files his stuff as, I'm going to South Asia, right? If he's going to South Asia, that means it's not in the jurisdiction of the corporate Africa. And he can go there and claim land and find gold and all this stuff, and Africans are going to be mad when they've been living under civil little more II status. That's why there's Jesus over there. And one man with 1 million people, and he's telling them about Jesus, amen, and they're, amen, 1 million people. Brothers and sisters, and they threw away Ogun and Obatala and all that. Right? They lost their nationality. Right? Like they lost their nationality. Same thing happened over here. Right? We lost our nationality. Remember, Ethiopia, it's really Abyssinia, it's really Kush. But if you call it Ethiopia, then you're playing in the Monopoly game, not in the real world. And on the Monopoly game, you lose because that's not real. It's colored. So once you go in a colored jurisdiction, you're colored. Whatever you say doesn't mean anything. That's why when people tell you crap, BS, that they went to court, right? And because they went to court, and they filed this particular paper in the court, right? Them filing this paper because this paper is so powerful, right? What's written on this paper is, like kryptonite. Put that in the court and they expunge your record. Yeah, for real. They would do that. But why would they do that? Because it's colored. But then again, if they make a decision that, yeah, we expunge this record, but that jurisdiction is colored, doesn't that expulsion or expulsion of a record become colored because it was done in a colored jurisdiction? Which means that it's void anyways. You can't even use it as precedent because it was in a colored jurisdiction. And that's the level that we're trying to get people to get themselves out of, how to look at this. There's all these artificial jurisdictions all over that we're just in. We don't even know that we're in colored jurisdictions. Because what? People are telling you stray away from Noble Drawley, don't listen to him, he was circus magician, he was pedophile, he copied Levi Dowling, Aquarian Gospel and all this type of stuff, when man told you, well, if I can get you to think, you'll save yourself. Like that alone would make me back him. We're not even going through any other statements that he said. If I get you to think, you'll save yourself. So that means that I'm not free then. If he's saying in 1913, if I can get you to think, you'll save yourself. Right? Means he's talking to an enslaved person. He's telling them, think and you save yourself. Think and you'll get yourself out of the jurisdiction. But you have to be thinking with the right perspective. Because if you're speaking on the wrong perspective, right, like some people, right, we're going to go, reparations equals war. What will free and unite black people? And this is written by Ali. That's your boy, Ali Muhammad, who put it on the record He's dissing Noble Drew Ali, but he's using the name Ali. You know, the first thing that you do, stop using the man's name because he came before you, so he had the name before you, so you can't claim it. And you're claiming that your name's Ali, and you're talking crap about somebody named Ali that came before you. You're a fraud. All these frauds, right? And that's how you know dirty Moors, right? This is how you know, like some coded dirty Moors, stealth dirty Moors. Stealth dirty Moors were ones that 10 years ago they were talking about Noble Drew Ali and trying to get you to be down with the Moors, and now they're bashing them. That's how you know. Because there's no way that you get on this and jump ship. If you get on this and jump ship, either you just have other stuff that you're interested in and you don't want to put your time and energy into something real, right? Or you work for those people trying to undermine this. Because there's no way that you get down with this information and then get off of it, right? So don't forget, this is the guy saying that Noble Drew Ali is a pedophile, right? This is his book. Noble Drew Ali's incorporation document citing his purpose to establish the faith of Islam in America, drawing his authority from the great Quran of Muhammad. Ali states further that his purpose was to consecrate missionaries in order to carry out this work. The ability to establish a religious organization based on and drawing its authority from the Quran was according to the treaties established between the Moors and the United States government. Noble Drew Ali was a great threat to the operation of America due to his uncovering this ancient and secret information. His work propelled the arch deceivers to have to completely reorder the framework of the laws and economics of government in America and throughout the world in the 1930s. This is what he's saying about Noble Drew Ali, right? Let me read this again, because keep in mind, Noble Drew Ali is a universal prophet because he's a thought of Allah. He's not just this guy that came. He's not just this Cherokee Indian to prove to you that so-called quote-unquote black people are the real indigenous people. Right? He came as a thought of the higher force to get a message to you. And what you do with that message is up to you. All we're doing is just telling you what people are supposed to tell you for the past 80 years and never told you. Really digest all the schools of thought that you've been in. And really sit there and think, how many of them mention Noble Drew Ali? Regardless of what it is, school, whatever, or whatever. Regardless. Just think about all the organizations and all the groups and all the clubs and all the whatever that you belong to. And which one of them mentioned Moors or Noble Drew Ali? Noble Drew Ali was a great threat to the operation of America due to his uncovering this ancient and secret information. Right? Ancient secret information Noble Drew Ali uncovered. Not Elijah Muhammad, not Fard Muhammad, not Clarence 13X, not Malcolm, not El Hajj Malik Shabazz, not Marcus Garvey, not Haile Selassie. Noble Drew Ali. His work propelled the arch deceivers to have to completely reorder the framework of the laws and economics of government in America and throughout the world in the 1930s. Right? Okay. What the hell is he talking about? What does he mean by that? We'll go to James Traficant Jr. addressing the House. Okay, because everybody's been telling you that we need you back. Rick Smith came out, European Confessions of a Moorish Legacy, told you about the galactic history of the Moors onto the earth plane. European. who says that, you know, yeah, I'm European, but I recognize what the Moors did and what they brought. And I'm going to stand up for that truth. Because I know my own can't kill me. Because they have a contract with the gray aliens that they can't kill their own. Their own could cause it to happen to themselves, but they can't literally do it. Yeah, contract with the gray aliens, right? So if you haven't watched Rick Smith, right, Confessions of a Moorish Legacy, European Confessions of a Moorish Legacy on YouTube, you need to go watch that immediately, right? This is going to be archived. Go watch that, because let this European tell you some stuff about you that you need to know, like right now, yesterday. Because this stuff that we're talking about, you can get this anytime, right? James Traficant Jr. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act, March 9th, 1933, declared by President Roosevelt being bankrupt and insolvent. Bankrupt and insolvent, right? We're just going to go through some, right? Because remember, don't forget, we're talking about the U.S. federal government being dissolved, bankrupt and insolvent, right? And we're relating that to what Ali Muhammad, who's dissing Noble Drew Ali, is saying that Noble Drew Ali did by recovering this secret and ancient information. This is what he did to the U.S. based on this information that he got and what he told the so-called Negro, black, colored people, right? Take this serious, because if he doesn't come out and say, you know, burn that book isn't, you know, supposed to be read anymore, because forget Noble Drew Ali because he's whatever, then okay, we won't use this. But until he denounces his book right here, right, until he, and you know, just so you know, it's, you know, it's his book, right? Until he denounces this book right here, if he doesn't denounce this book, just send me, because I know he's not going to be showing you this, you know, he's not going to be showing you this when they're talking about their before ISIS was ISIS. You know, they got some stuff in this that you need to, they got some stuff in this. So Noble Drew Ali's position caused this bankrupt, dissolved insolvency to happen to the U.S., right? And remember, it's saying his work propelled the arch deceivers to have to completely reorder the framework of the laws and economics, right? How did they reorder the framework of the laws and economics of this dissolved bankrupt corporation, right? How did they do it? The receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers. Remember, he said that this is something that's throughout the world. His impact is gonna has had an effect, right? Noble Drew Ali's move that caused them to do this had an effect in the world, because right now we're talking about international bankers in 1933, right? So Noble Drew Ali's, you know, the pebble that Noble Drew Ali's threw, the ripple effect is into international waters now, right? It's affecting those people over there, not just the corporate jurisdiction here, right? But now the outside corporate jurisdictions have to get involved now to try to fix this problem that Noble Drew Ali caused, right? That, you know, Ali Muhammad's dissing, right? The receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers via the United Nations, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund, right? The whole crew, right? Because remember, the United Nations is a fraud. It's really, the League of Nations is really the actual de jure community of nations. This is the League of Nations, right? And you already know, Treaty of Verona overthrew that by overthrowing all the republics everywhere that had the 5-point star on their flag and whatever like that, fezzes on their flag, you know, things relating to the Moors, because everybody knows that The republic is where it's about being. Government by the people, right? Noble Drew Ali's move caused these international people to take the focus off of what they're doing. This is how all these G20 summits and stuff that we be having. It's because of everything that Noble Drew Ali did in 1913 to 1929. This is what they don't want the people to know, right? That even if we don't mention his name, his works alone, right? And the effect of the cause of the Moorish movement, which is, you know, uplifting fallen humanity, teaching people about their nationality and birthrights. The cause of the movement created an effect internationally, right? All United States offices, officials, and departments are now operating within a de facto status in name only under emergency war powers. With the constitutional republican form of government now dissolved, the receivers of the bankruptcy have adopted a new form of government for the United States. This new form of government is known as democracy. So when you hear certain people say democracy in 2013, know that they work for the dissolved, bankrupt, insolvent corporation that infiltrated and took over your republic. Because remember, in a republic form of government, when the government falls, the people are the ones that are supposed to pick it up and keep going with it. But that didn't happen. They got all of our people to believe that they were Negro, black, colored, and everything else after Noble Drew Ali passed form. Right? Which now, because we chose to be civil et mortuus, it classes us as chattel, ward, property, which means we can be movable, you know, whatever they want to do with us, right? And they can use that as collateral, because, you know, we're gonna put all this thing together. This new form of government is known as a democracy, being an established socialist communist order under a new governor for America. This act was instituted and established by transferring or placing the office of the Secretary of the Treasury to that of the Governor of the International Monetary Fund. The U.S. Secretary receives no compensation for representing the United States. The U.S. Secretary and all the other positions receive no compensation because, first of all, they're dealing with fiat, so they don't get compensated. And secondly, they are in a de facto position, right? They sold the office to the International Monetary Fund, so there's no need to pay him because that's not the Treasury anymore. So all these Moors, UCC1, yeah, go to the Department of the Treasury and Secretary or whatever. Those are dissolved offices that you're messing with. It's right here. It's HJR 192. You're not really dealing with the Republic. The Republic's been dissolved. The people are now the government. But the people can't be government, civil or mortuus, Negro, black, colored, African Americans, though. So don't even get excited if that's your status. Right? Nationality has to be there first for you to even exercise in the arena of getting something, right? Gold and silver were such a powerful money during the founding of the United States of America that the founding fathers declared that only gold and silver coins shall be money in America. Since gold and silver coinage were heavy and inconvenient for a lot of transactions, they were stored in banks and a claim check was issued as money. As a money substitute, people traded their coupons as money or currency. Currency is not money, but a money substitute. Redeemable currency must promise to pay a dollar equivalent in gold or silver money. Federal Reserve notes or fiat paper money makes no such promises and are not money. A Federal Reserve note is a debt obligation of the federal United States government, not money. The federal United States government and the U.S. Congress were not and have not been authorized by the Constitution for the United States of America to issue currency of any kind, but only lawful money, gold and silver coin. It is essential that we comprehend the distinction between real money and paper money. One cannot get rich by accumulating money substitutes. One cannot get rich by accumulating money substitutes. That's why you have the video and these guys kicking money and all this stuff, because that's not money. That's paper they're kicking around, right? And you remember they used to, before stuff got really deep, right? They used to be threatening people about, yeah, if you burn money and if you do this to money and that to money, you know, we're gonna do something to you because you can't do that to the, right? They were doing that to get the credibility of the fiat, so people could have faith in it. But it was a debt instrument. It was not money. The only money is gold and silver, right? The federal United States government and U.S. Congress were not and have not never been authorized by the Constitution for the United States of America to issue money of any kind, but only lawful money, gold and silver coin. It is essential that we comprehend the distinction between real money and paper substitute. One cannot get rich by accumulating money substitutes. One can only get deeper in debt. We the people no longer have any money. Most Americans have not been paid any money for a very long time, perhaps not in their entire life. Now do you comprehend why you feel broke? Now do you understand why you are bankrupt along with the rest of the country? Federal Reserve notes are unsigned checks written on a closed account. And then what you're going to do, you're going to go in Black's Law Dictionary and you're going to look up closed account, so you can know what that is, because we don't even know what that is. We think we know what closed account is. Go look up closed account and shock yourself. Ferns, Federal Reserve notes, are an inflatable paper system designed to create debt through inflation, devaluation of currency. Whenever there is an increase in the supply of money substitute in the economy without a corresponding increase in gold and silver backing, inflation occurs. Right? And then you can go in on that James Traficant bankruptcy speech. Right? But we have to get back to our boy right here, the prophet disser, to see, you know, what else you got to say about the prophet. This is page 122. There were many Muslims among the runaway slaves. The fusion of these groups was creating a connection between the people, one, who were descendants of the people who had been part of the Moorish Empire of Western and Northern Africa, and two, the ancient Moors who were descendants of the 18th dynasty of Egypt, Israel. The oral traditions, laws, and customs were the same, as they sprang from the same source. It was the agenda of the whites in government to attempt to deal with what they considered a chief problem: black people who knew themselves and who were uniting into powerful governments and military alliances on American soil. These groups would later form into Black Shriners, then eventually into Moorish Science Temple of America, and later the Nation of Islam. This is how these early movements were preserved and in another sense resurrected. So the American Colonization Society was constructed by 7 white men to deal with moving of so-called black Africans back to Africa. Black people are indigenous to all lands on earth as the original people. There were Moors from Africa in America prior to the arrival of whites, which we have already pointed out in chapter 1. Places like Fort Negro and the above mentioned Peliklakaha, sites and military districts built by blacks in Florida, Texas, and Kansas are a testament of our indigenous existence. So in the spirit of creating division and wiping out all indigenous claim to America, The repatriation movement and the concept that all blacks were the products of African commerce was started through the American Colonization Society. This was their main propaganda campaign. At the same time, some of the greatest wars on American soil were fought with the white and red men on one side and the indigenous black and red peoples on the other side. This is what led to the Civil War and the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, who advocated the returning of domestic American lands to free persons of color as opposed to African or Central American settlers. He even passed the original 13th Amendment in February of 1865 that allowed for such a domestic settlements. It was voted on successfully. This is recorded in the book The Great Conspiracy by John Logan on pages 448 and 449. So The Great Conspiracy by John Logan. Oh, and you also want to look for a book called Servants of Allah by Sylvain Diouf. Sylvaine Diouf. Since free black leaders during this time were very suspicious of the American Colonization Society and the Back to Africa movement, and rightly so. It was a trick to promote division and to strike at the independence and nativity of black people. Well, where's the proof? Paul Coffey was one of the leaders who further pressured this concern of white people, unity amongst blacks. Paul Coffey was a philanthropist, trader, and navigator who had a black father who was a prisoner of war or slave from Morocco. His father had been freed with help of Quakers in Massachusetts. His mother was an indigenous American. Paul Coffey worked hard to become a prosperous trader. He was also a Quaker and a part of their Society of Friends, which was a leading abolitionist group. The Quakers were the first white abolitionists of America. Coffey advocated trade and settlements in Africa. He was not a reparationist or one who advocated that all black people and settlements in Africa, or all black people return to Africa. He did see great advantage in our reconnecting to Africa to promote economics through trade and commerce. He saw the importance of an African-American connection. Paul Coffey initiated activity that was very dangerous in the eyes of whites who did not want to see black and red alliances or international economic progress amongst black people. The Quaker movement was also not very popular among the American whites, as the Quaker movement had grown out of the great Islamic influence in England from 1558 to the late 1600s. This Islamic influence is recorded in Nabil Matar's book Islam in Great Britain, 1558 to 1685, and that's Nabil, Nabil, Matar, Matar, right? Right, so brought that up to bring up again, right, that he's not saying it in here, but in here, you know, he's backing Noble Drew Ali by putting this information about the American Colonization Society, because he clearly states sincere free black leaders during this time were very suspicious of American Colonization Society and the Back to Africa movement. Why? Same reason why Noble Drew Ali said that the Moorish movement is not to be compared to any Back to Africa movement, because we don't have to go anywhere back to anywhere, because we're in Africa right now, and that's what it is, because over there is Asia, period. Over here and over there is a Mexum. That's what it is. You're not going to go research and find any of that, and anything that you do find, more than likely it's going to be from Moors anyways, so just accept the fact right now, because you're not going to go out there and find certain information. You're going to have to talk to Moors, and build with Moors and get to know Moors, and you know, let's be family and start building, because you know we got to do this, right? Page 139. B. Status. Who are you? Blackamoors, Negroes, colored, African American, minority. Carter G. Woodson's profound truism that one of the toughest unwritten chapters of the history of the United States is that treating the relations of the Negroes and the Indians. White people have always used slave-making legal status terms along with threat, duress, and coercion, right? TDC, that's a law term, right? So even back here, when he was putting this out, he was obviously studying with Moors, because threat, duress, and coercion, right? That's dealing with being under occupation and having no other choice to be hindered. So you do it under threat, duress, and coercion. Everything that you do in this occupied jurisdiction is under threat, duress, and coercion. Even in your proper status. Because they just might kidnap you for doing that. And not because, like we say, not because you're wrong or you're doing something wrong, but because their job is to not wake up the sheep. Let the sheep sleep, and this one black sheep over here, just cover the mouth and just run with them down there, right? Because we can't wake up the sheep. And there's people amongst the sheep peeping, and they're awake and they know what's up, right? And they were telling you what Noble Drew Ali brought, and they're telling you that, you know, he has no place in any of this or whatever, when he's connected to Eliza Turner, who's connected to Henry Turner, who is Washita and Louisiana Purchase and all this. Noble Drew Ali's history is deep. He might have only been doing exercise and whatever in the 1900s, but his family has been in this land fighting for land as Moors and winning. That's why he took it as serious as he took it, because it's part of his bloodline. He didn't have to go to Egypt, nothing to go to learn about indigenous culture. He's Cherokee. He already knows this information. People make it sound like he was born a nigger. He wasn't born a Negro. He was born amongst the Cherokee tribe. If he's born amongst the Cherokee tribe, then obviously he's going to be taught indigenous culture. And all him going all over the world was secondary. And don't even get caught up in that, because he's a brother that was born to the Cherokees. He didn't come from Africa. He was a Cherokee. People in his family that are called quote-unquote Cherokees look like him. Not what we see, they say Indians are or Cherokees are today. When you go to, you know, the little bookstores or whatever, Barnes and Nobles or whatever like that, Indian book, and you see a guy on there. That's not no Indian, native. He's late. And Noble Drew Ali's dark skinned. See the picture of him, he's dark skinned. And he was born amongst the Cherokees. To prove to you. To prove to you. And then if you talk to your grandma or great grandma, they'll prove to you that we always been here, baby. We ain't come from no Africa. They tell you. Right? There's a couple more pages in here that we want to make sure we touch on because, you know, this is Noble Drew Ali hater. And if a hater has all this information on Noble Drew Ali, then you know something's up. Because, remember, there's no way. There's only two reasons. There's only two reasons why people who come on this side leave. One, because they don't have enough courage to do it, and this just isn't for them. Or two, they're in conspiracy with the people trying to stop this, to stop you from knowing about this, right? Because they obviously have influence, so they'll be able to come into this and leave and draw some people because of their influence, right? Like, look how many people, right? Look how many people. Take the test. Look how many people are in favor of Seti because of his energy, not because of what he says. Nah, I just like his energy. Yeah, but what's he saying? Well, you know what he does? What's he saying though, right? So this is where they got the people. They got the people that the people don't even know. They don't even know that people are using their mind against them. Our people don't even know that their own people are using their mind against them. That's high science. So obviously they were taught. For somebody to be able to do that, for somebody to be able to influence people to give up their birthright. We're not talking about giving up, like, you know, your favorite food, or, you know, bunning weed or liquor or something like that. We're talking about giving up your birthright. Giving up what gives you a tie to not just earth, but a particular history or a particular people on the earth plane. Giving that up to not have any and not be known by anybody. And you ask people, hey, what's a black person? Black person, I don't know, what's that? What's a Moor? Oh yeah, the Moors, the history of the Moors. You mean and they'll go into it, they'll go deep with you, right? Because it's not, you know, attacking on people and all that, right? People have to be brought to the right perspective to understand why we're in this mess that we're in, right? We're in this mess that we're in by design. We're not in this mess that we're in because the white man did something, or like, we're in this by design, and we were born into this. But there's no figuring out to do, because Noble Drew Ali already brought everything, took away all the secrets from all the secret societies and said, here's everything for you. So you can be of a right mind when you go out there and engage other people of the world, because it's becoming a multicultural world, because everybody's mating with everybody. And it's becoming a world of nations are connecting, unifying. Some people might not appreciate that or respect that or whatever, amalgamating and all this type of stuff, right? But it's happening right now as we're talking. As you're sitting in the class right now, there's some brother or some sister with a European. And they don't care what you think about their relationship, because they're loving whatever, right? So it's unification time. You don't got to be down with them, but recognize that it's unification time. And the key is having a nationality, because everybody on the planet has one. And once you have a nationality, now you can take your place and do things and get things done, especially if you're doing it in numbers with a nationality. But we can draw numbers as black, We could draw numbers as Negroes and coloreds, and we could draw numbers, clubs and partying and ball games, and we don't have a problem coming together. That's not our problem, right? The problem is we're coming together and nothing's coming out of our coming together. But go back home and deal with the problems that you probably only went to that thing to try to escape your problems that you really can't escape from, because, you know, and then you're trapped in this paradox when it's only because you're stateless. And all this pressure that you feel, you know what I mean, because, oh my gosh, I can't pay this and I can't pay that or whatever, but then that thing that can't pay everything is all capital letters, straw man. It's in the law dictionary, you can look it up. That's the corporation, which isn't you. So you don't want to stress about nothing. Let's just get to work and start doing what is supposed to be done. And what's supposed to be done, according to what the prophet laid down, is supposed to be uplifting fallen humanity and telling them the truth about their nationality and birthrights. It's not about no package selling. It's not about trying to, you know, get people to be on a side and don't go on that side or whatever like that. It's only that now because that's what it's been, right? But Moors that are taking an active approach, you know, just like we're showing, the reason why we're calling all these people and doing the show is so that people could see that there's unity in this. We're not concerned about these idiots bickering and debating, right? We entertain it for entertainment, but that has nothing to do with anything that active Moors are doing, right? And we're putting these people on the record so people could see. And they could say, yeah, Canaanland's part of the empire as well. You know, Canaanland Moors is part of this, right? The lineage. Because we have to make sure that we put this all out there so that people know that people have been told. They're telling you, forget Noble Drew Ali when they know what he brought and how powerful it is. And they talked about it, wrote about it in their books or whatever, did classes on it, have YouTube stuff on it. And then they never take anything down, because then they look like a hypocrite. So they leave it up there, but, you know, but now you're bashing and using the man's name and all this type of stuff, right? His book, page 151. The family and ancestors of Noble Drew Ali play an important part in this discussion on Masonry, indigenous blacks, land of indigenous blacks, and Islam. Noble Drew Ali was born with the name Timothy Drew. There has been much speculation about him, his doctrine, the origins of it, and why he is so mysterious. As we stated earlier, the Cherokee have an amazing history in North Carolina that is very ancient. We have documented ancient inscriptions connecting them to black Moorish Israelites, and were coming to America in the 1st century AD. The Cherokees play a vital role in the activity of the Civil War, as an internal war erupted inside the Cherokee Nation during the 1800s over the issue of slavery. It was the mixed bloods and whites who fought against the full bloods, blacks, over this issue. It led to the breakup of the nation and of entire military regiments joining the North to fight for their lands and status. Noble Drew Ali's father was a part of this fight. His name was John Drew. He was a colonel of the 1st Regiment of the Cherokee Mounted Rifles. He was a freedman. There, now you know why he talked how he talked and why he said what he said. On top of that, he's thought of a lot, right? He was a colonel of the 1st Regiment of the Cherokee Mounted Rifles. There are differing stories given about him. There are not many written documents or not many written accounts of him after the Civil War. There is an account stated in the book called The Cherokee Freedmen, From Emancipation to American Citizenship. The Cherokee Freedmen, From Emancipation to American Citizenship, by Daniel F. Littlefield, Jr. In speaking on the personal life of the Cherokee and the freedman amongst them, Littlefield records, in 1878, freedman John Drew, for instance, showed the best draft stallion at the Indian International Fair held at Muskogee. John Drew's regiment abandoned their service of the Confederacy, as it was composed of mainly black freedmen and full-bloods who were members of ultra-secret societies called Ketowa Society, Keetowah Society, and the Pins, Pins. These societies preserved secretly the ancient traditions of the Cherokee, which were really Moorish Israelite doctrines that spanned from Egypt in the 1400 BC all the way down to the 1st century AD, when many of the Israelites made trips to the Americas to escape Roman occupation, as noted in chapter 3. So he's giving you so you can go back and check the references to make sure what he's saying is legit. But he's dissing today, right? The Maroons and freedmen also carried a large influence from Islam and Masonry. Noble Drew Ali's mother also plays an important role. So not only did Noble Drew Ali play an important role, but his mom also played an important role, and his dad also played an important role. That's why Noble Drew Ali made the statement, well, I didn't want anybody to know who my mom and my father were, because I didn't want them to make a shrine out of my family like was done to Jesus. Why you say that? Because his parents were big time. Super huge big time. Big time, bigger than Garvey and Elijah Muhammad and these people. Big time they were. And they were Cherokees. Right? Noble Drew Ali's mother also played an important role in this history. She was a part of a landmark court case of freedmen and women who won lands in Louisiana that belonged to an ancestor of theirs. The court case, the United States versus the heirs of Henry Tonika Turner, case 32, United States Appellate Court, 1850. So just put heirs of Henry Turner, 1850, it'll come up. Just so you can know that when we say honors to Noble Drew Ali, we're saying honors to the Moors, because his family is directly connected, right, to everything that is going on with regard to these people not saying republic anymore, them saying democracy all of a sudden, right? And then the people going with the fact that they're saying democracy and not standing up for the republic, which is really the people. And then we're caught in this place where we have, like I was talking with some brothers earlier today. And we're talking about how in Canaanland there's a Canada Act, which came out of the British North American Act. And we're talking about how acts weren't law, right? And if we have a situation where everything's colored, right? Everything's colored, right? Think about this now. Everything is colored, right? Everything is an artificial, fraudulent jurisdiction, right? And we're approaching these jurisdictions like they're legitimate, right? Because we're listening to these idiots tell you that there's no such thing as an estate, and there's no such thing as a Mexum, there's no such thing as over here being called Africa, but over here is called Egypt, over here is called Cairo, over here is called all these other names from over there, but over here is not Africa. Okay, and don't listen to what Noble Drew Ali said. You don't want to have a fez and all this type of stuff. Your birthright is the most important thing right now on the planet. That's the most important thing. Before you think about having anything else out there that looks splendid and looks, appealing to the eye or whatever, you better take hold of the fact that you are more. You are not like even Moors we're talking to, because some Moors have a black mentality where, they want to be Moors, but they want to go get, handouts, right? Any type of handouts, whether it's grants or whether it's, well, you know what, well, why don't we, you know, use our free national name and then go do the UCC1, and so we can get to the account with whatever. Yeah, well, they're bankrupt and dissolved. So why do that? Well, okay, well, how about we go get this grant so we can build a school? Well, they're dissolved. So why are you going to go contract with a dissolved entity to get Fiat in your own land when you could just go to the community center yourself as a dissolved non-profit organization and get it for free and have your temple meetings every day, just because you're non-profit, which you're supposed to be anyways, because, you know, we're not supposed to leech off the people with this, right? Which brings us in closing, right, to realizing, right, accepting the fact that Noble Ali told you everything, right? Said, I brought you everything it takes to save a nation. Take it and save yourself. And people refused to do that. People decided to do whatever they wanted to do, right? Now, this is the letter, right? You know, Moors know about it. New Moors might not know about it. It might be something that, you know, we talked about and it maybe went over people's head, right? This is one of the letters that was supposed to be proclaimed every meeting that wasn't proclaimed, right? And the reason why it wasn't proclaimed is because of the subject matter of the letter. And when you read the letter, you realize why, if you are in a temple or, you know, part of some Moorish organization, right, and, you know, you're kind of questioning certain things and all that, and you never heard this letter before, now you know why and what's going on. So make sure you demand that they read the letter, because remember, the people who are the heads of the Moorish movement are governmental officials, and they have an obligation to the people, whether they're in the temple or not. Say that again. The people who are heads in the Moorish movement have an obligation to the people, whether the people are part of the temple that they're the head of or not, right? To be proclaimed in every meeting. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they, right, keep in mind what's going on right now with all these Noble Ali haters, right? There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement by now, by the same people on our side of the nation. And don't forget, a lot of these people were part of this and then they jumped off, right? On our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, right? That idea of your nationality and your birthrights. It's the only sole salvation, right? And remember, but now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation, right? They are working every scheme they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation, right? So that's like people in Canaanland going around to people out there telling them that, you know, Cujo's this, Cujo's that, Cujo's this or whatever, but they're going and they don't know that I have spies out there who's going to those people and telling them that they want to buy a package or whatever, and then they agree to it, right? And then we have it all documented that, you know, these people are agents, because they're going to tell you Cujo's a fraud and Cujo's dirty more, but they're talking to my spies that I sent out there, right? They're talking to my spies, and my spies are going and getting intel from these people that are, you know, saying 250 and then 500. Oh, well, if you need a little, oh, well, maybe it's going to be 1,000, and they're making deals and whatever. This is going on, right? They themselves want to take charge of the situation so they can do that. They themselves want to take charge of the situation so they can do just like those old dirty Moors did, get the profit out the way so they can take all the finance. Because that's really what it's about with them. It's about fiat. All the debate people and all that, it's about fiat. Right? It's about fiat and not getting your ass kicked in the debate. Because, like we said, we're going to pay for SETI to come up here so we could debate them. You know, and loser had to proclaim their nationality or denounce it. We're not talking about loser wears fez and dumb stupidness like that. Right? But no callbacks. Right? I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that contribute to the movement and uplifting funds. It's through the faithful Moors. So Islam to all the Moors out there who's making their little donation that they can to Canaanland, right, every month, just because you recognize something on Canaanland Moors side. So Islam to you Moors for never even asking about where is the money going and all that stuff and whatever, right, and still going and giving support and buying things and ordering things, right. This is what's going to make this thing move. Right? Faithful Moors that contribute to the movement. Right? When a Moor takes another Moor's newspaper and promotes it or whatever, that's faithful Moors. When another Moor takes somebody's information and puts it out there so you know how to get it and access it, that's faithful Moors. Only the backstabbing Moors telling you don't talk to those guys over there or whatever. Right? Because they're active and they're going to get you arrested and stupidness like that. Don't listen to those people. Right? Because Moors don't get arrested, they get detained. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling. That's why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it bad. Never before have I needed finance as badly as I do at present, that I may shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. It all comes through jealousy because of his fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without me, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my work, in which I have performed in the last few months, because I was at the governor's inauguration to represent the Moorish divine and national movement. What's he doing at the governor's inauguration to represent Moorish divine and national movement if this isn't government? Remember, I was at the governor's inauguration to represent the Moorish divine and national movement, not the Moorish Science Temple, not the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. The Moorish divine and national movement, because he was there for the nation. He was there for you. And I will be at the inauguration of President Hoover for the same cause. And this was January 18th, 1929, and July he was assassinated. Right? So today, Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, addressing misunderstandings of purpose concerning rights of indigenous people, bringing the people back into the constitutional fold of government, and make sure you send him as much views as he has on that Noble Jawali crap that they're putting out there, right? Okay? As much views as he has, you should be bothering him for this book right here. Ali Muhammad. Make sure you go and you bother him for this book. He's on Facebook under a new name, because you know how they do. They like switch up the names, you know, so you can't find them doing dirt, right? But make sure you hunt him out. If there's 3,000 hits on the video, then 3,000 people should be hitting him up for this book, right? So these liars could tell you for themselves that they honor Noble Drew Ali, they respect him, you know what I mean, and they're just flapping, right? They're just flapping. So Islam to all the Moors, right? Because really and truly, it's because of y'all. So Islam to all the Moors out there, active Moors that's being active, that's coming into the movement. Appreciate y'all. 9:07. We got 20 minutes before Blog Talk. Eyes wide open. Tonight's program, we're going to be talking with sis that's dealing with some stuff right now. You know, she'll let you know what's up when you know she goes on the show. But tonight's gonna be hot tonight, all right? Because you got to get some information out. So 5 on the left, 2 on the right, Moors. Let's give up our honors, and of course you already know, you know what I mean, we give high honors to the illustrious Prophet Drew Ali. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam, peace, Hotep. And I'm telling y'all, go bother this brother for this book. Bother him. Message him. Right? Because trust me, you want to have this book in your library if you're saying that you're a Moor. Excuse all the black stuff, because, you know, he wasn't really on it when he wrote the book, right? But there's some key references, book references, and key things that he talks about in here in order to give you the correct perspective of nationality being the order of the day. All right, Islam.